Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today I want to talk about this small little vintage lens that I've been using for the past few weeks, and I've become quite accustomed to it, and I think I want to talk about its good points and share them with you guys. So today I have right here the Konica Hexanon 40mm F1.8. and this is a great little vintage lens. I've been using it with the Fujifilm Extro 1, so all the pictures here are taken with that combo. But this is a cheap lens. I got it for about $40 or $50, and it came with the film camera that it was mounted to. It was in pretty good condition, I guess. You could probably get it for cheaper or get other lenses for much cheaper, but they would be in poorer condition. I wanted to talk about what makes this little lens like kind of special, and if you're in the market or considering buying a vintage lens, why you should consider this one specifically. Let's get started. First off, let's talk about the size, because this is a very small lens. You guys know that I like pancake lenses, and the Konica Hexanon 40mm F1.8 is just that. It's a vintage pancake lens, which makes it quite unique apart from all the other vintage lenses. Specifically because when you're adapting to APS-C size cameras, or any other cameras for that matter, you have to use an adapter, meaning that you're going to add size and bulk to the lens in general, or else you wouldn't be able to use this lens on your camera. So because this is a pancake lens originally, putting an adapter on this lens will kind of even it out. It becomes more of a normal size lens, which is actually still kind of small, but it's not like buying one of the other lenses, the other 50mm lenses that are bigger. Those actually become quite bigger and quite more hefty when you adapt them. So size for this lens is a really important factor. I think it makes this lens specifically very unique as apart from all the other vintage lenses. Next up, let's talk about focal length, because this lens as well sits at a very interesting focal length. It's a 40mm f1.8. So when you adapt it to APS-C like Fujifilm cameras, it becomes more of like a 60mm. And so it's a little tighter than your usual nifty 50, but it's not, nearly as wide as if you adapted another 50mm vintage lens towards your APS-C camera. So that's really awesome, because there are a ton of 50mm lenses out there, 50mm vintage lenses to be more specific. So a 40mm lens is just slightly wider than one of those, if that makes sense. So it gives you a very interesting focal length, and this is something that I wasn't as used to. I really had to get used to it when shooting with this camera and this lens. So this focal length is just something else that makes this lens unique. It's a very fun focal length, I would say, as well. Next up, why you should consider this lens, or any other vintage lens for that matter, is because they are manual focus only. And shooting with manual focus is a different experience completely, mainly because you have to take the time to compose your shot. You have to really make sure you're in focus, and you have to give more consideration towards the framing because it is a slower process. So this has created some of my best shots, in my opinion, because I had to focus manually and I had to think about the shot more. And initially I did this because I wanted to improve my photography, make it so that I would get better when I go back to autofocus, and I think it has paid off in wonders in the short time that I used it. It was definitely hard at first for me to get used to, shooting vintage lenses or with a manual lens, but overall, like I said, it paid off in the long run. So if you're looking for a cheap manual focus lens, I would consider this for sure. So overall, I would consider the Konica Hexanon 40mm f1.8 as a great option for you to adapt to your APS-C camera or just any other camera that you have right now. It's small, it's the size of a pancake lens. It is at a very fast aperture for its focal length. F1.8 is pretty solid, it can allow a lot of light in. And similarly, it's a manual focus lens, so there's a lot of things you can do with it. The design and style and aesthetic of this lens is also very nice too. I think it looks really good when paired with a Fujifilm X Pro 1. And moreover than that, it's fun to play with because it is different than some of my other lenses. I find it a lot more, unique and interesting in that way. And that's kind of what photography should be. It should be more chill and more fun and in the moment, and you're just taking pictures. It is a fairly sharp lens for a vintage lens, but it's not nearly as sharp as the digital cameras that you have today. So because of that, you don't have to focus as much on image quality. You can kind of focus more on, just taking the picture and being in the moment, which is what I think is where photography really shines. So if you're in the market for a vintage lens, I definitely consider this one. If you like this video, please do like and subscribe. I mainly make videos about the Fujifilm X100V, but I'll be talking about this lens a bit more and the X Pro 1 as well. So like and subscribe if you are interested in that stuff. But otherwise, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in another video. Peace.